So working hard but not seeing results is basically the most frustrating and demotivating thing that can happen to a person on their fitness journey. Am I right? Yes, you're right. So there can be a lot of different reasons for this, but for the purpose of this video, let's say that hypothetically everything is just, you're pretty sure that everything's dialed in. So you've been sticking to a calorie deficit, you've been crushing your workouts, and you've been consistent for quite a few weeks. That's a key there. But still no changes. Where are the changes? Where are the changes? I'm looking everywhere and I can't find them. So in this case, then you might ask yourself, is my metabolism broken? Do I need to reduce my calorie intake to sad, tiny morsels of food? Probably not. Good news. Here are 9 sneaky reasons why you are not seeing results despite sticking to your nutrition and workout routine. So the first thing that can be an issue, the first sneaky reason holding you back, is high levels of stress. So when you have super high levels of stress, you can start holding on to more water, you can just start feeling more bloated because there's a hormone called cortisol that goes up when you are stressed, and it causes you to hold water weight. And sometimes there's been times where I've been super stressed about something and I've been super on point with my routine and I can see that I'm progressing a bit, but I don't feel like I'm moving forward in the way that I should. And then the stressful thing, like, it passes, it comes and it goes, everything is fine. And then the next day I wake up looking a lot tighter and better. So stress can play a role. Unfortunately, I know it's super annoying when people say that because you can't always control, like, you can work towards it, but like if you're stressed, it's just gonna make it worse if you're like, oh my god, I'm stressed. Oh, and then you're stressed about being stressed. So just understand that it will pass and try not to stress about your stress. So the second reason why you might not be seeing results is not putting enough effort into your workouts, not consciously aiming to get stronger in some way, shape, or form each week. You're kind of just going through the motions. I always talk about the importance of following a set program because you don't want to be doing what I like to call fit chick science and kind of just going all over the place, doing random stuff with no rhyme or reason. But when you're following a program, you still have to put in that effort. Otherwise, it's still not going to get you the desired result. So you want to be paying attention to, like, can you do more weight or can you do more reps? Whatever it is, you just want to always be focusing on if you can do more than you did last time. The focus is improvement here, and that's what's going to force your body to transform. Okay, so sneaky reason number 3 is that you are forgetting to track oils, condiments, liquids. I knew this guy who used to put a lot of oil on vegetables, and he said that the oil dissolved while it was cooking, so the calories didn't count. That is not true. That is not true at all. The calories count of oils in the food. Holy crap. So yeah, make sure you're tracking that. And that is another thing, like oils, it can add up fast. Even cooking spray, if you were to, like, it says 0 calories, but that's for a quick spray. Like if you were to be like for like 2 minutes of cooking spray, it would still have calories. So definitely be careful. Just little things like that, little sneaky things. Some people will even forget about things that could have hundreds of calories, like a coffee. Obviously, coffee is amazing. It's not that you can't have it, but especially if you're getting stuff added to it or you add stuff to it, you always got to be aware of these things because it can take you out of your deficit pretty darn easily. Okay, and reason number 4 is if you're somebody who orders out food fairly frequently, I always say it's something you can do while seeing results, but at the same time, the calories aren't always as accurate, which I typically say is okay. But if you are at a point where you're like, I'm doing everything right, every last thing is right, I'm hitting my calories, I'm so consistent, then that is just one thing, another thing to look at. are those things you ordering the calories that you think they are? Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're more. Maybe they're lying to you. No, they're not lying, but maybe it's just not what you thought. So keep that in mind as well, that if you're not the one making the food, the calories could be a little bit off. Okay, so the next sneaky reason is if you are eating quite a lot of prepackaged foods, sometimes the nutrition labels can be inaccurate, and if you're doing quite a lot of those types of foods, it can add up and just make your day not the calories you thought. Especially, it's funny because a lot of like health type items, certain protein bars and things like that, sometimes the calories are actually a little bit higher than written. I know there's been some health products where there's been lawsuits because there's more calories than they said. That's not to say be scared of eating packaged foods or anything, but just don't overdo it, especially if you're somebody who's saying, oh, I'm not seeing results despite doing everything right. So another little sneaky thing to look at. Okay, and the next one is if you're having a lot of 0 calorie items. So unfortunately, 0 calorie items are typically not actually 0 calorie items. And if you're just having a bit of it, then it's fine. You can count it as 0 calories. But for example, I use a coffee syrup, a calorie-free coffee syrup. And if I just have 1 or 2 servings, I don't track it. But after more than that, I do track a couple carbs per serving because again, that can add up. And like if there's multiple different calorie-free items you use throughout the day, then it really can add up. Like say you have a few coffees, then you maybe put something like that in a meal, and then you have some other like little snack things that are just, if you have a lot of those things, it could add up to a couple hundred calories. And again, if you're stuck not seeing changes, that could be the sneaky culprit. Keep that in mind. Even like my pre-workout, that has 40 calories. So that could all add up throughout the day. Even gum, like I'm not saying to track your gum, but sometimes I'll have like a shit ton of pieces of gum. So again, if I go over like a certain amount of pieces, I'll track it. Because if you have like 20 pieces of gum, that's like 50 calories. And then there we go. There's my 50 calories from gum. There's my 50 calories from pre-workout. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, they probably don't have that much gum, but sometimes I really like to have sugar-free gum when I have the munchies. So that's what happens. Be aware of these things. So after 2 servings, I would say just start tracking 2 carbs, and then each time you have a serving, and then it's not flying under the radar. It's on your watch. Okay, and this next tip is more often than not, this is the culprit. This is usually the sneaky culprit. If you are somebody who absentmindedly has little snacks here and there, that is what's taking you out of your deficit. It is. People will say they say, oh, it's just a tiny little mouthful. It's not doing anything. Like it's so minor. It can't be the reason, but it is, because at the end of the day, the thing to remember is that this literally, it's science. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. And yes, there can be some people with actual metabolic issues, but I would say 9 out of 10 times, it's not that. It's typically because people are not being as accurate as they think. So if you're cooking and you have a handful of nuts, that adds up fast, which is sad. I know, nuts are delicious. It adds up quickly. And again, it's gonna take you out of your deficit. So even like a little candies here and there, these things add up very, very quickly. I know too, like sometimes I'll be cooking and I'll get starving. So I'll have some crackers, and the ones that I love, it's like 4 of them is like a few hundred calories, and they add up so fast. So it just feels like you've had a couple bites, but you've had like 400 calories. So that's the big thing, is just to be super, super honest with yourself, because you're probably missing something. And it doesn't mean that you're like doing that on purpose, but it can just be a thing where it's like you kind of just do it. It's a habit. You're like, oh, I'm snacking, I'm doing this, I'm doing little snack. This is no big deal. This is what I do. But it really is a big deal, and that's probably the sneaky culprit. And the next sneaky culprit is the other one that is a big one. So this is if on a cheat meal day, if you go crazy overboard, that's gonna take you out of your deficit for the week. It doesn't matter if most days of the week you're on point. Like, let's say you're eating 1,700 calories a day to lose fat, but then a couple days a week you eat 4,000. That's gonna take you out of your deficit, and it's super annoying because it's just one day. But unfortunately, that's just how your body works. It's not running on a 24-hour clock. It's more so the average of the week. So that one day, if you really go nuts, it will take you out of your deficit. So be very, very, very conscious of this. And sometimes it can be practice to get to the point where you feel like you're a little bit more in control with cheat meals, but just keep that in mind. Just if you know that that's what's holding you back, at least you know what it is. I feel like it's nice to at least have the answers rather than be like, why am I not seeing results? Because then you know what you need to improve. So that is the other really big sneaky culprit, is when you do have like a treat meal, a fun day, whatever you want to call it. That's when you go way too overboard and the deficit is gone. Okay, and reason number 9 is the one I briefly touched on in point 7. And this is, it's probably not the reason. It's probably not the sneaky culprit. So it's if you have some type of hormonal metabolic issue. But like I've said, 9 out of 10 times, it's not the issue. So you can go to the doctor, you can get it checked out if you truly think that that's a possibility. But for most people, it's most likely gonna be number 7 or number 8 that is the sneaky culprit. And the last sneaky culprit is that you haven't given it enough time, because depending on your goal, depending on your genetics, depending on like the first sneaky culprit, your levels of stress and things like that, that can slow down your progress. It can be frustrating. Like I've definitely seen some people where it can take a few weeks before they really figure it out. But the key is just the patience and making sure that you're very, very honest with yourself and taking a step back and looking at the overall picture of what it is you're doing, so there's not something sliding under the radar that you're not realizing. I've had some clients where they'll struggle for months, honestly, and then one day something just clicks in their head and suddenly they start seeing results, and they start seeing them quicker, and they finally get to where they want to be. So I'm not saying that that's ideal to struggle for months and months before you get there, but the point is you'll never get to where you want to be if you quit. Keep going, and like I said, be very honest with yourself, and you'll get there. So those are the 9 sneaky culprits. I think I kind of added in a 10th one, maybe, sort of, I don't know. But those are the things that are secretly holding you back from seeing results. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!